I'm currently the global CIO at a company called Covetrus. We're a leader in the animal health space. I joined Covetrus about 6 months ago, interestingly, right after the pandemic
Mhm.
started. So I've been in a unique situation where I've really not had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with the folks that I work with. I haven't met most of the people that work for me, being having global responsibility. I haven't been able to travel, and even most of my peers at the executive level haven't spent a lot of face time with them. So it's been a unique challenge in an onboarding process and trying to come up to speed, learn the business, and kind of take stock of what the role calls for here at Covetrus. But it's been great. I'm really excited to have the role and happy to chat with you about selling to the CIO.
Yeah, and you're helping animals, right? I
Yeah,
guess
that's right.
indirectly, right?
Actually,
So
yeah, it's my kids are very happy with my current choice. I previously I worked for a company that, among other businesses, held a large global pest control company. So I tell people I went from killing pests to saving pets. So I'm a little more popular in my house now.
exactly, I'm sure a lot more people are more friendly to you at this point. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So, but again, appreciate you taking the time. So I think you kind of know the gist of what I'm trying to accomplish here. I'm trying to make it a better world for IT leadership like yourself, so we can educate the folks out there like myself and my team of how to be more effective and trying to reach out to folks like you and have some meaningful conversations. But with that could probably come some horror stories that you have about salespeople like me and my team and thousands of us out there. But would love your perspective on some of the things that work and don't work and annoy the shit out of you, and maybe like are good
yeah,
tactics to get your attention. So I'll let you start wherever you want, but
yeah. Okay.
that'd be
Well,
awesome.
I would say probably similarly for most people in this type of role, it's really hard to get the attention of people in these types of roles. That the time is really scarce, and opportunity for to speak with folks is even more scarce, right? So I like many others have countless connection requests and emails and phone calls. Kind of surprising me that people still attempt to reach through phone calls these days. I mean, I never, I can't tell you the last. I don't even have an office phone, so that's I think a kind of a useless tactic as far as I'm concerned. Get a lot of emails, and the thing that surprises me most often about the emails is how kind of superficial they are, right? And so to me, that's a bit of a pet peeve. It's probably very doubtful that I'll respond to almost any email, but I'm certainly not even reading the emails that appear to be kind of boilerplate and are very superficial and are probably not well placed, meaning maybe not geared for, let's say, CIO level communication. Maybe they're better off attempting to get to maybe next level down or maybe even two
Yep.
levels below. And then, the thing that's really, I find really interesting is when, and I don't know that this has ever worked one time where, I get a request to say, hey, I'm free tomorrow or the next day. Can I get a half an hour on your calendar to understand all about your business and your personal challenges? And I think to myself, does that ever work? I mean, I can't imagine that it ever does. It doesn't
It's
for
just
me, but
it just what you want to do. Spend all your day educating reps about what your business does and what you do
yeah,
and what
no,
keeps you
well,
up at night, right?
it's not compelling, right? It's not like a huge attraction. Okay, well, let me give you the horror stories about what my job entails. But even if you were inclined to do that, the timing, which is, hey, let me get 15 or 30 minutes on your calendar today, tomorrow, or the next day. Yeah, that's just impossible. You can't even really do that
Right.
for internal purposes, right? I have people internally that are wanting to get
That's a good point.
get some time for that. And so, it's tough. I understand the difficulty that that sales reps have trying to make those inroads. It's really it's very difficult. And for me, it's probably one reason why I know I could never be successful in that sort of a role, because I just don't have the, the persistence and wherewithal to keep, knocking on the door and until someone finally lets me in. So
Yeah, well, I think I feel your pain. I've been doing it for a long time, and it's a grind, just like any other job, obviously. But
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure you also love the one where they say, "Oh, my CEO's in town. He'll be here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Can you see me then?" Right? That's a tactic that seems to be
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
popular out there.
that's another variation on that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's true as well.
So we won't send you boilerplate emails. All right, we're not going to let you ask you, 10 minutes before we want to see you if you're free for 10 minutes. So what what else you got out there? Anything else that really gets your goat from folks like
Yeah,
ourselves?
well, like I said, sometimes I wonder if anyone is ever successful calling on the CIO for things that are not very strategic, right? And so, I personally, as much as I would love to, I'm not necessarily in the weeds on
Yep.
certain things. Not that I don't have the history or the background, but it's just not top of mind. It's not number one priority. So therefore, um, excuse that. This is one of the perils of working from home,
This
right?
is all good. This is what it's all about.
So I often find it a big mismatch with the type of product or service that someone maybe, if I even get that far in the initial email, the type of product or service that they're offering, and I think to myself, does that really match the needs or the effort to try to get in touch with the CIO? Right? I mean, there's certain things that even if I were able to be contacted and connected with, I would immediately just say, well, you need to speak with, someone that works for
Yep.
me, whether it's someone in infrastructure or security or systems or, whatever it may be. Right. So, and sometimes I think just maybe attempting to make the connection at the right level would be more
I,
fruitful than going to the top.
I've heard that a few times, right? Like, somebody in your position is more, you really, honestly, you're probably reporting to the CEO or the CFO, and you're really caring about the bottom line and how you're contributing to the bottom line versus you could give two shits what, storage product they're going to use, right? You've hired smart people to make those decisions for you, right? So I tell reps all the time, don't get frustrated, right? The CIO is probably not your target here, right? You want to get
Yeah.
2, 3 levels down. They're the people that want to talk to you. They're the people that want to be educated. They want to learn the new stuff. The CIO and the VP, they they maybe, if it's over a certain amount, maybe they sign it and see it and they'll ask some questions to their folks, but a lot of times they don't want to know, right? That's what it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, if there's a compelling story, it probably would be a better approach to say, hey, look, I know you're probably not the right person, but would you connect me with your, head of infrastructure or your head of systems? I mean, look, that it's probably unlikely that would even work, but it would be, I think, a more valiant effort as opposed to attempting to get the CIO's time for something that is just not going to register on his or her radar. It's just, if it's not strategic, if it's not moving the needle, if it's not, helping with some initiative that is either transformative or changing the game from a cost or efficiency standpoint, then it's not really something that most CIOs would be interested in at a certain level. Now, obviously, this all needs to be kind of calibrated to the size of the company. Maybe in
Right.
certain companies that might not be a true statement. Maybe
Correct.
in a company that's very small or much smaller, maybe than the one I work in, that might be a more accurate approach or a better approach. But at least for me, we're about $4.5 billion public company. So, if you're a public company and you're of certain size and scale, then the CIO's role is probably a little bit different than if you're in a smaller company. And what I mean by that is that you might be less inclined to have the time or the interest in speaking with someone who would be cold calling you
Yep.
for a product or a service, right? It's usually just not the way it works.
Yeah, sometimes the VP or CIO is the only technology person in the company, right? So, like you said,
Yeah.
know the audience, do the homework, right? So, as you being a public company and being that large, there's lots of information that folks can gather by using all this intelligence that we have these days to come with you with some intelligence already baked in, right? So
Yeah,
that's
I think that's
good
exactly
advice.
the point I would make, which is there's I don't want to say it's insulting, but it's just very noticeable if there's no effort made to understand the company, understand the industry. Look, even using all the tools available, you can find out who the CIO is connected to. You can make peer connections, personal connections, relate stories of other people and other companies that you've helped. You can even find out who the CIO's key lieutenants are, and come at it that way. So I think if you can be more educated, be more informed, kind of customize the pitch a little bit better, it improves the odds. Still, I think it's difficult, but I think it improves the odds pretty tremendously as compared to the typical
Yeah.
cold call with common theme and just the ask me, explain how I can help you type of thing, right? How can I, as the CIO, give you the information that you need to then help you tell me what you can do for me, right?
Exactly. That's all great stuff, and it's all relevant for what we're struggling with these days as sales folks. But the one thing I know that's on the mind of folks, like people like calling on a company like yours, right? So you got a new player in town. Steve just became CIO. He probably has long-term relationships with other competitors, right? So what's the best way to get to a person like you, right? If it's you don't know them, you have no clue who they are, they don't have any connections necessarily. I mean, they should figure out a connection, in my opinion. But are you open and amenable to some of those conversations, or do you typically, you're going to go to people that you trust? And so, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that unless there's a really compelling reason, I would go to people that I would trust, but that doesn't always work out that way. I mean, it's not completely closed door. I think what's really important is to identify the things that help personalize the discussion a little bit more. So making it relevant to, let's say, my industry, because although I have connections for me in my personal position, the position I'm in now, I don't have a lot of background in this particular industry. So
Yeah.
someone that would even if it were kind of a cold call, or if it were a new connection attempt, that would demonstrate value and history in an industry that is new to me, where I have this type of a role. Maybe offer to make a connection to another CIO that's in a similar position. I'm always willing to network with other people that are in similar roles, and so to me that adds value. And then once you do that, that and from my point of view puts you in a position where it's worth having a conversation. Now, who knows what that leads to, but I think then it's proving that there's some mutual benefit involved, right? Maybe it's worth having a discussion. I would probably say that if there were something that were done for me, like making a connection or providing me with information that is helpful, then I would feel, if not compelled, then definitely open to at least having a discussion. Because I like having these types of discussions. You just can't have them with every single person that wants to have it with you, right?
Yeah, that's great
The
advice.
trick is to try to be kind of in that that small number of people that that you're willing to have a discussion with and have a connection with, and and knowing that perhaps there's nothing that will come out of it, right? I think, to me, that's one of the best parts about successful sales folks is they don't expect the sale on the first
Yeah.
meeting, the first call.